And we are live. Hello and welcome, everyone. It's so great to have you on this live through ABIC.
Steph.
I've actually got with me today two extremely important people from Skills and Creative Australia. We've got the CEO, Natalie Termine. Welcome, Nat. How are
Hi.
you today?
Hi, Helen. Very good, thank you.
Oh,
I
that's
know.
great. And we've actually got a special treat. We've got Aaron Hines as well. He's the Executive Director of Products and Projects. I hope I said that right, Aaron. Very important role because we are going into what everyone's talking about, which is the beauty qualifications and beauty package review, which we're going to be finding out about today. And of course, I'm sitting here with my co-council member who represents beauty, Helen Golisano, who has been a beauty therapist for, should we say 30 years or how many years?
43.
43 years, and she
Yeah,
represents
a long time.
and she represents beauty alongside our other co-counselors as well, who represent beauty therapy and all the beauty services as well. But she's also sits alongside me on the swag committee through SaCSA, which we're going to be talking about a little bit further on and explaining what all these acronyms mean. Which is wonderful. So, welcome, team. I would love to start talking about what's hot on everyone's lips, and that is we have all heard that the beauty package is up for review. It's been approved by the government for funding, and we're all really excited. And we know that it involves the Cert 3 in makeup and beauty services and nails, Cert 4 in beauty therapy, diploma of beauty therapy. So we're all excited, but a lot of us are sitting there going, hold on, but what does that actually mean? Nat, can you help us set the scene, please, and explain who SaCSA is, what your role is, why this review is so important, but also what is the relationship with ABIC? Because people are like, hold on, SaCSA is here, ABIC is here. How does it all kind of mix together?
Well, thanks, Steph, and thanks for having us here today and for the opportunity to share. It's really important for us to get out and this message to as many people as possible. So who are we? Who is Service and Creative Skills Australia, or SaCSA, because we all love a good acronym. So we are one of the 10 Jobs and Skills Councils. And what that means is about 3 years ago, the Department of Employment Workplace Relations set up a model that there was 10 Jobs and Skills Councils that are there as voice of industry to help industry with their training, skills and workforce needs. So we are actually a not-for-profit organisation. So we're not government. We're actually a private organisation run by an independent board. We are tripartite, so we are voice of government, union and industry. And our main core responsibilities are workforce planning. So working with, for example, the beauty industry on what are your current skill needs now, what are they going to be in the future, what are the training needs that come as part of that. We also, as part of that, do a lot of what's called stewardship. So, voice to the government around things like migration settings and skill shortages, incentive schemes, training package needs, funding, that kind of thing. We look after quite a few industries, hence our name. It's all the service related and all the creative industries. So we look after the entire art sector, personal services, which includes hairdressing, barbering, beauty and funerals. We also look after the tourism, retail, travel and hospitality industries as well. So yeah, lots of similarities across all those industries as well too. Right. So last year we published, and we've put a couple of these out now 2.5 years, is our workforce plan for personal services. So there's lots of really cool information in that around some of the skill issues and the emerging needs, the changes to industry. So we published that on our website, and we've also got a data dashboard on our website as well too. So industry can go in there and get the latest stats and information about the beauty industry. But some fun facts for you that come from our workforce plan. There are actually 35,000 beauty therapists in Australia right now, and they come from a mix of salons, spas, wellness clinics, a lot of mobile beauty happening at the moment now. But unfortunately, the beauty industry has actually been on the national shortage list since 2022. So this has been an ongoing challenge of having not enough people in the industry for the amount of work, and it's a growing industry as well, as we all know. So why is all this important? There's also attraction and retention issues for the sector. So if I like, you know, how do we attract people in and how do we encourage, especially young folk, you know, into the sector, understanding what those career paths are and what the training opportunities are to actually get to those jobs you want. One of the things we've identified, and is the key topic we want to talk about today, is related to the training issues. And we're seeing, if you have a look at the enrolment numbers from beauty-related qualifications since 2015, enrolments have actually dropped by 35%. Completions have remained kind of steady, but they've still dropped at 2%, and they're coming from a much smaller base. The diplomas where we've seen the most significant changes, enrolments since 2015 in the diploma have dropped by 73%.
Yeah, that's insane.
Completions dropped by 35%. So the pipeline coming into the industry at that level and with that skill set is deteriorating.
We all know that.
Yeah, massive stats. It's scary.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've worked through ABIC and gone directly to industry to do quite a lot of surveys too, to get an understanding of, you know, the impacts and why, you know, those training enrolments have dropped so much. And 2/3 of the beauty industry has told us that training is misaligned with the industry needs. And 3/4 of you have said that you're concerned about all the uneven skill standards, and that's linked to so many non-accredited courses out there in the market. But mostly the biggest feedback was the training packages are just not keeping up with the speed of industry. And if you have a look at the last updates, there hasn't been any significant training package updates to the beauty quals since 2015. And there's been many changes and evolving practices in the industry since then, as we all know. And in regional areas, this is even more exaggerated. So yeah, it's really, really important.
How do you work with, because everybody asks me, you know, how do you get involved with peak bodies like ABIC? What are we here to help you do?
Yeah, sure. And we love working with the industry associations because you've got such a huge database of members and experts and different types of businesses. It's really critical for us when we're getting all this information from industry that we can reach them and reach them quickly. And you have such a scope of different size members. You've got metro, regional, remote, you've got small business, large business, sole operators. It's really critical having that that sort of spread. The other benefit in working, for example, with ABIC is we can actually tap onto your existing events. So I think last year, you know, at your expo, we had a roundtable during one of the expo days. Everybody's in town, everybody's there. So it helps us to gain, you know, face-to-face stakeholder engagement with your folk without having, you know, extra costs involved of people having to travel to come to events. You're there. So yeah, lots of benefits there, and we're really appreciative. ABIC, you've also had us up on stage a lot, announcing, making updates, but you also get updates out to your network as well too. So yeah, really important for us to have that relationship.
For that reach, and also working on this particular thing that we're doing, which is the review. So we provide feedback. We're on your swag committees. Tell us what a swag committee actually is.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of different mechanisms for stakeholder engagement. The first up is our strategic workforce advisory groups, or once again, we love an acronym, so the SWAGs. The SWAGs, we have 5 SWAGs. So for example, one for retail, tourism, hospitality. We have one for personal services, of which we're really fortunate to have Steph and Helen on that strategic workforce advisory group. These are advisory groups that help us prioritise the work we're doing. So we talked to, I think last year we spoke to 10,000 different stakeholders from different organisations, but it's really important for us to go to the SWAGs and say, this is what industry is saying, this is how we're thinking we should prioritise our work, what do you think, you know, and get that expert advice. So our SWAGs are chosen from a very, very, you know, particular selection process and recruitment process to make sure that they've got a good understanding and a long understanding of the sector challenges and the training needs and workforce development challenges, so that we can get that advice. So yeah, the SWAG's there to help us with that. And you know, thanks to the work of Steph and Helen and a few of the other SWAG members we got there, the beauty industry was one of the training package updates that has been prioritised, which is why, you know, in the last year we've been able to put the evidence case in to say this needs to be updated, put the government funding applications in and achieve that funding. So yeah, it's been really good. And we'll get onto the technical committees, I think, a little bit later on when we start talking about the next steps.
Sure. And what does that mean? Like, it's open for review. What is actually been approved? What's going to happen? Because I think this is where everyone's kind of stuck.
Yeah, sure. Well, so what we've received funding from the Department of Employment Workplace Relations to do is to update. There's actually 5 beauty qualifications we're going to be updating. So that's Cert 3 in beauty services, Cert 3 in makeup, Cert 3 in nail technology. We're going to do the Cert 4 in beauty therapy, and we're also going to do the Diploma of Beauty Therapy. And we are launching that officially on the 13th of April, and that's when the process will start. So yeah, very exciting. And to be honest, the reason why we've prioritized those ones, you know, industry has been really, really clear in the last couple of years in telling us what you need. You're saying you want a skilled workforce, you want a pipeline of new entrants, you want career growth and better leaders. You know, it's about keeping people here and helping them advance their careers. Safety and hygiene issues that, you know, you want addressed. Businesses need to remain competitive. And overall, you want to improve the professionalism of the sector. So more practical skills, more consultation skills. We're hearing retail, sales, aftercare, consultation skills, and specializations as well. And Steph, I know that ABIC has been very, you know, vocal in saying the industry wants to self-regulate, but to be able to self-regulate, you need to have minimum skill standards. Absolutely. So, and that continuing professional development. So we need to make sure the training packages are up to date, because if that's going to be a minimum standard for the sector, it's got to be right.
And people do ask the question, you know, why, you know, what has happened with regulation? Why hasn't that moved further? It actually has. We've moved the dial on regulation quite significantly. So if you want to get updated on that, you can check out our website, because we've moved further. But to break through that barrier, I've always said, like, the occupations need to be right first, the education, and then the regulation follows, because you need that minimum skill set, right? Exactly what you said. So I'm glad you said it, Nat. And so you touched on this a little bit, but from SaCSA's perspective, you did all of this research. What are the key signs, like the really, I suppose, the things that got it over the line with the government funding that we needed change in the beauty qualifications?
Yeah, well, it was consistent messaging from industry. I don't think there was a single person in the beauty industry that didn't mention that the training package needed updating. And we did do significant industry consultation around that. We've also at the final stages of doing a report that we've done called The Drivers of the Shortages of the Beauty Industry, because it's really important for us to understand why aren't people enrolling, or why are people leaving at certain times, you know, to really understand what those attraction, retention and training issues are. And training was probably the most obvious and biggest part of, you know, the challenge for the sector. We've also been doing some work around career mapping as well too, trying to understand what that career journey looks like. We're about to start a more intense process around that as well, to work out, when do people come in? How do they come in? What attracts them to come in? What training do they do? And when they're there, what then is that career pathway look like? Because it's kind of like a lattice work. It's not sort of linear. People go off and specialize and do all sorts of things. So, but we're also trying to get an understanding when people exit and why they exit, so that we can have a look at like holistic solutions and have an evidence base on what it is that we need to start working with industry to address.
And I know that Helen and we've had some conversations around this, and you've got a particular perspective from being in the beauty industry. Did you want to talk a little bit about that and ask Nat your questions?
Oh, I'm just, as you know, Nat, super excited about this, because for many years the qualification packages I felt haven't been fit for industry. They haven't moved along with industry, so this is an awesome opportunity. And as a long-term salon owner, and talking to many other salon owners all the time, one of the biggest problems, you know, is that when people do come out qualified, they're not aligned with the real world of what's needed in the salons. So is that the kind of feedback SaCSA has been hearing and is going to take on board, and that we can work together to really get this alignment in sync? So when people are coming out qualified, they'll be ready to go straight to industry.
Yeah, 100%, Helen.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I guess the key bit of feedback we're hearing from the sector, and they use the word salon ready. So they need learners to be salon ready when they graduate, and that's not happening at the moment. So we're hearing also that the younger generation need different skills than previous generations have. And this is actually coming across all our service and creative sectors. Thereafter, conflict resolution skills, customer communication skills, critical thinking. Believe it or not, we've had some training package updates where they're saying we need to teach the younger generation how to make and take phone calls, because it's not something they do.
100%. Yeah. Not text, make the phone call.
Right.
Yes.
And look, Also, digital and AI skills and social media skills are a huge part of the industry now. So I think, yeah, the term we've been using and want to use is salon ready. Like, how do we get them ready to hit the ground running when they graduate? So more practical skills as
I
well.
love that. I love that. And the industry is going to love that.
Oh, absolutely. And now tell us a little bit about what the process is, because we did touch on it earlier, but the actual process of review, that question has been said like a lot of times. I'm hearing, what is the review?
So review is probably jargon used in our industry. We're actually
Right.
we're not just reviewing the training packages, we're updating them. So the process from here, and I'll get Aaron in a moment to take us through the actual, to explain to everybody at home and watching and at work, what the actual update process is. But ultimately, the biggest part of it is stakeholder engagement. So it's actually getting the voice of industry, because I'm not a beauty expert, nor's Aaron, nor's his team. We are training package and skills and workforce development experts, right? So we are ultimately leaning in on industry to say, what are the skill needs you want? And what are the skills need that, to make sure that we're future proofing ourselves as well too, because the industry, as I mentioned, is changing quite quickly. So what the big process we want to talk about and share with you today is what the next steps are going to be around stakeholder engagement and how industry can have their say, because we can't do it without you.
Absolutely. And then after that, you go away and actually rewrite the qualifications based on what the feedback is, right? Is that the process?
It's probably a good segue to throw to Aaron, and he can share with everybody.
Absolutely. Aaron, where I talk about, when people actually ask me what is going to happen, I say we're going to look at the reviewing the content of the package, the structure of it, but also the delivery of it. Can you explain those three areas in sort of practical terms? And what questions do you think will be asked by yourselves in SaCSA during that review?
Yeah, thanks. It's a really good question, and I think it's an important one. When we're sort of looking at the content, as Natalie sort of mentioned, we're leaning in on industry to say, what are those sort of non-negotiables? What are those universal pieces of content that are needed? What's missing from the current training package? What needs to be added? What do you want the skills of the person who comes out salon ready, as Nat mentioned, to look like? What do they need to have? What sort of characteristics do they need to have? And then we'll sort of build the content around that. We need those big building blocks, and we're gonna gather those during the sort of first 2 to 3 months of from launch. So we're gonna look at going out and doing a full discovery piece with industry and with training providers as well across the, because we want to know what's working, what's not working in that space as well. But so we'll do a big discovery piece to understand the content. We'll look at things like where are the pinch points? Where's the duplication of knowledge and skills? Where do you think people are finding it a bit, I suppose, challenging and then exiting? So we can try and streamline that a bit. Or as it comes to structure, we're going to really look at making sure that we can hone in on, yep, there are those, 8, 10, 20 pieces of essential foundation skills that are universal. We need everybody who comes out to have these universal skills. But we all know that there needs to be more, there's a lot of specialization streams that people need to be able to go in on. And as Nat sort of mentioned, there's some lattice work. So when you're doing a specialization stream, I don't feel like you should have to go all the way back down to the bottom and start over again because you want to learn a new skill that's still within the same sector. So what we're going to try and do is build those foundation skills and then have some specializations above them that allows people to jump in, learn this bit. They can jump over here and learn a bit more about a different sort of thing. So we're applying this under the guidance of industry and our technical committees and our swags and so forth. to try and create better, more specialized learning pathways. And as far as delivery, we got to focus on the practical. There's underpinning knowledge, but really it's the practical that we need to really hone in on. So for us, we're not going to sit and forget. The process itself starts off from really sort of engaging in that discovery. We're going to look at after that, we'll take all that information, we'll build a draft training product, then we'll go out for public consultation. So we will gather through a number of different means, whether it's through workshops, roundtables. We do a national roadshow. So we have sessions in every state and territory. We have online workshops. We have we engage with the associations and councils like ABIC to talk to your members and to talk to you and to get guidance through that. We have surveys that we send out to gather information. We have the training package itself sits on our website and is open through a product called Markup. Just to give you an example, one of our recent training products that was out there, we got 4,000 different lines of feedback. We had over 35 different workshops and online sessions. We engaged with nearly 650 different people who gave us feedback. So we capture feedback from all sorts of different means and ways. So we're really looking forward to being able to build a strong product that will then serve the sector for not just years to come, but make it easier to adjust and adapt into the future as well, so that we don't have to wait 10, 11 years before drinks. We want to make sure that we can quickly update this as industry things in industry change, or so we can quickly make quick updates to keep it more relevant.
You just nailed so many things, Aaron, that have made me smile, and I know I've made a lot of salon owners smile. Like, yeah, the way you've spoke that out. But how would you really recommend that people in the industry really get involved? Like you just said, you had 4,000. Like, how do we get everyone involved into this, and how important is that, just to not sit back and think it's going to, how important is it for industry to get involved?
It's paramount. I mean, as Natalie mentioned, we're not subject matter experts. That's not, and we won't claim to be. We really do need those people in the industry, and I don't think people need to be salon owners or to be, we need people's viewpoints from across the people that are new, people that are still studying even. All this sorts of feedback is all going to build a complete picture for us, because salon owners may have been out of the haven't actually studied in a while, and they don't, they know what they want, but they might, and their feedback is very valuable. But equally, someone who's just finished studying and has just entered the workforce is going to have a totally different lived experience that I think is equally valuable. So, as I said, we're going to have. I think the best place to start is we're gonna have information sessions that will be launching in the coming month or 6 weeks, post the launch of post the launch of the project. And I think come along to those workshops. They're going to be online, so it's pretty easy to do. They're usually about 45 minutes. Get a sense of, we're going to take people through what this process looks like end to end, and where those sort of those points where where industry can come in and consult, and where we'll go away, take that information, where we'll build the product. Then we'll do target consultation, just to make sure that we get it right through our technical committees, and then we'll go out for public consultation. But there will be so many different ways that you can engage with us. I would start by, going online and subscribing to some of our newsletter and our mailing lists and our social media channels, just because that's where we put up a lot of our, we're going to have a webinar on this date at this time, or we're going to have, various different ways of engaging with us, surveys and so forth. So yeah, that would be my advice, is just, you got to get involved. Otherwise, this is going to, if your voice isn't in here, somebody else will fill that void with their voice. So make sure that it's your voice that's being heard.
Absolutely. You just answered multiple of my questions in one response, which is fantastic. I also do want to remind people that the ABIC, the Aesthetic and Beauty Industry Council, we don't just provide an audience for SaCSA. We provide real feedback from our members that is oftentimes aggregated and understands the feasibility and concerns of how we're communicating that feedback as well. We have a education committee, and that education committee, yes, thank you for the thumbs up, Natalie. That education committee, we pose the questions to a group of very qualified people from different backgrounds in that education committee that can come together with the thinking heads and form the view of ABIC, which represents its members as well. It's a very strong voice. Industry voice is very strong. It works on numbers. So all this feedback that SaCSA get are, obviously a huge amount of stakeholder feedback, and they put it together. What the beauty of a peak body is, we refine a lot of that, and we put in very similar submissions as well. So for example, with the Australian Bureau of Statistics, we're now putting in a submission for the occupations. So is SaCSA. We get together and we make sure that we align based on what industry needs and wants. We don't just come up with it ourselves. That's your feedback, right? That actually gets put forward. So the beauty of it is, if you get involved with SaCSA, but if you have that expertise, joining our education committee can also really help amplify that voice and refine it in a way that isn't just raw feedback. It really is polished and industry and kind of through an industry lens. So we can discuss that in a little bit of a different detail. And the other thing is, I feel like learning from other, sort of to end and wrap this up, other industries have done this before. Hairdressing has just gone through it, right? And there have been challenges. Not everybody agrees with each other. You can have camps that agree with this particular method and camps that agree with that particular method of delivery or content or structure. We see that sometimes can inadvertently cause a little bit of division and confusion. What have we learnt in terms of how to handle that feedback in a wonderfully positive way and turn these discussions into extremely fruitful debates which show a multi-viewed approach, rather than just fall into the camp of I think this, therefore I'm right, versus I think that, therefore I'm right? No.
Yeah, and it's a great question, Steph, and that's why the more voices from the more locations, from the more types of businesses is the best thing for us. So if I give you an example, different states and territories, as we know, have different regulations. So if I pick on the hairdressing industry for a moment, they've got 2 states in Australia where you're required to be a qualified hairdresser, but the other states don't require you. So those 2 states then have very different needs from, as far as what needs to be in that qualification versus those that they don't mind if people slip in and out of it and just do bits and bobs of it. So we've got to take those factors into account as well. And also, different size businesses have different opinions as well too. So the importance for us is to have that wide breadth. And we actually extended the consultation period for the hairdressing because of that, to make sure that we were really getting the right information for the right time. Because ultimately, it's not SaCSA that makes the final decision. It's not the swag that makes the final decision.
Not ABIC either.
Yeah.
No.
States and the territories that deliver and fund these training packages make the final decision. So we have to make sure that we've been able to demonstrate that we've done really extensive consultation and that we've got all sort of sides of the story, looked at the pros and cons, and make sure that it's fit for purpose for a national rollout, not just one state, for example, or to Aaron's point, those who might have the loudest voice because we didn't get enough voices.
And that's where the key is in numbers, isn't it? Because when you present that to government, if you say there is, you said 35,000 before in the beauty. So, I mean, you said like here is so many thousands of feedback that we've got through industry that this is what they need. The government's more likely to look more at not adjusting it so much.
Yeah, kind of. It's not a numbers game. It's the quality of consultation we do and the
Okay,
quality of
yep.
evidence we can demonstrate that that's what industry wants. So I'm not necessarily asking industry to all jump in and put 1,000 bits of feedback in or 1,000, 35,000 people to respond. It's around having quality responses. So we want to make sure the
Fantastic.
people we're consulting with know what those skill needs are. They know the impacts, from a business point of view, when somebody new comes in, what do you need them to have? But to Aaron's point earlier, like, at a beauty event a couple of weeks ago, I spoke to a girl who's just graduated, and the information she gave us about her journey and the order things were in and how it was done and what she didn't know when she started on her first day, that's invaluable as well too. So it's not so much a numbers thing, it's probably, I would say, quality of consultation over quantity.
And numbers
Great
matter.
info.
Just to answer that question, numbers matter when we go in to ask for legislative change and things like that. It's the quality of the feedback, but it's also this is how many members we have and who we represent in terms of your voters. So that's when numbers actually really make a difference. The risk here, I suppose, of not participating and not having that voice, if you've got a strong qualified voice and you know what you're talking about, you can give good quality feedback. If you don't, then we are not going to get this right. So I want to stress that the quality of the outcome that we're going to get really is determined by the quality of the input that we get. And if we don't get that input from industry, we're not going to get it right for you. And therefore, in the end, if you're unhappy, that responsibility really lies on you as the industry. We're here to facilitate. ABIC is here to facilitate. SaCSA is here to create based on your feedback. And I think that's a really important message to hone in on and leave everyone on as well. What do you think, Nat?
I think you nailed that perfectly.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
Well, we cannot wait to get started on the 13th of May. Again, if you are interested in contributing at a high level, please join the ABIC education committees, but we will be releasing all of the workshops through ABIC as well and promoting them. So if you don't know where to find the SaCSA workshops, we will give you a list of them for the year as well. So thank you so much, Natalie, for coming in, and Aaron, and obviously always thank you, Helen, for the representation you give so strongly for the beauty industry as well. It's been a pleasure talking to you all today.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.